Joining us in studio right now for her second interview for this position that she's running for in the Republican primary, Ann Dumbauld, candidate in the Republican primary for Lubbock County Commissioner in Precinct 1. Welcome back.
Good morning, and thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Early voting continues through next Friday, Election Day on March 3rd. How's the campaign going?
The campaign's going great. I do notice as we look at the turnout that's hitting, people aren't voting as strongly, of course, as they did in 2016, and that's probably the biggest issue is we can all campaign all day, but if people don't go to the polls, especially in Precinct 3, which is not my issue, but very low turnout in Precinct 3.
Well, I think, and one thing I hear from a lot of the candidates is that there's just so many people who they're trying to figure out either whether it's the judicial races or your race. They're trying to figure everything out. And in your race in particular, there's been accusations, thrown around. We had one of your opponents here yesterday, Mr. Kovar. And I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that he's accused you of. And the main thing that he's accused you of basically is being part of the swamp. I think he said the Lubbock swamp here on this show. And he questions why you were fired from the city of Lubbock.
Sure.
Talk about those issues and that's one of the things that I get on the text line a lot. What happened in Lubbock at the city of Lubbock? Is there some deep, dark secret at City Hall?
I'm not aware of any deep, dark secrets that involve Leanne. There were certainly other people who had deep, dark secrets. City managers, whether it is in Lubbock or anywhere else, their careers at that city always end poorly. And that's why, in order to get you to take the city manager job, mayor and council will offer you a compensation package because they know that after their term, when the next group comes in or the group after that, it will end badly and you'll have to sell your home and apply for a job somewhere else, et cetera, et cetera. I just happened to decide I wasn't doing this again and I wanted to stay in Lubbock, Texas. The big change was the council went from the Mark McDougal era and Tom Martin, which was very conservative, to way, way more liberal. And I don't have those views, and I'm not going to make recommendations to the council or manage projects that are not budgeted. I'm not going to do secret dog parks on the sly. And so, obviously, it was going to end badly. For those of you who remember all the drama at the time, the charge was led by Victor Hernandez, and it was an assault that began sometime in 2012. For those of you who've forgotten, I lost my husband, Bill, during that time period, and within a month of his death, Victor Hernandez was in my office screaming, hollering, threatening, et cetera, and it never improved from that time forward. So it was time for me to leave if we're going to have daily screaming matches at City Hall.
And the mayor during that time, Glenn Robertson,
yes,
he's endorsed your campaign.
He certainly has. So has Mark McDougal. We lost Tom Martin, so that's pretty sad, who I got along with very well. And then I also worked for David Miller, who I enjoyed as a great human being. He had a little more liberal bent to his spirit and what he wanted to accomplish for the city, but city managers can't have conflict over that. You have to just go with the will of the council as long as they're doing things above board. It's when it's not above board that you really begin to have struggles.
And so one of the things that you're really running on for Lubbock County is, budgets, numbers, all of that. What do you say to the folks? And this is something that your opponents also brought up. Debt went up at City Hall. Spending went up at City Hall. And you were the city manager. You would bring that budget to the council for them to vote on. What do you say to those folks?
Let's talk about that for a second and do sort of local government in Texas 101. City of Lubbock's charter was adopted in 1909. there's not been a city manager who has set the tax rate or issued the debt in that time period. If you had city managers who could do that, I guess there would be no reason to have an elected process for a mayor and city council. What the city manager is charged with in doing the budget is to take input from the city council, and in Lubbock, that has always been a fairly formal process. Let's hear from the council members and mayor ahead of time, give direction, and the budget that the manager brings back to the council really represents the price tag of what the various council members have asked for. And when it arrives to the mayor and council, if they think the tax rate is too high to accommodate what they've asked for, then it's their charge to make those decisions and get it back to where it needs to be. It is also their charge to say, we maybe don't have to do all these projects right this minute. We're going to stretch them out, keep our water, sewer, wastewater rates lower. But that is the charge of the council, and city manager can advise all day, but that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
How can your experience as city manager, how does that translate? Let's say you win this race, you're on county commissioner's court. How does your experience, I don't want to say behind the scenes as city manager, but a little bit, how does it go? How does it translate from that position to county commissioner?
My professional experience has almost always been in public finance. I've worked for the state of Mississippi as deputy state treasurer. I've worked in a variety of cities in the CFO or deputy city manager role. So you learn how to dig down into not just the budget, but the balance sheet and analyze every possible transaction to figure out how it could be done differently, it's extensive detail analysis on boring things like actuarial reports, etc. I worked 3 years for Lubbock County as finance manager for Ronnie Keister in the tax office. And so I've already developed a very solid understanding of the county's finances such that they're published. Everything that I need to look at is not available to the public easily. You have to do an open records request. That takes, for them to deliver it, that takes another 10 days. So my analysis has been limited by the information that I can get. And in the prior year, with Jason and Chad working on the budget, we spent a lot of time together trying to ferret out what was actually in that budget, because they don't get the budget work papers. They don't know what is underlying a particular line item, so they'd have to go back, ask more questions. It'd take forever for them to get the answers, and then we get back together. So I think in the coming years, when the three of us work together, my intent is to be annoyingly in the middle of what all those details are, so that when we get to the budget decisions, everybody's got the information they need to make the decisions that impact those numbers.
What's one of your biggest fears when it comes to the Lubbock County budget, and from what you've seen and what you know of the Lubbock County budget? We've heard rumors that they could run out of money at some point. They could be bankrupt at some point. What's your big fear for Lubbock County?
I don't say bankrupt. My fear, and what prompted me to run, is the fact that the assessed value in the county has gone up by 2.5 times, and lots of that is growth. That's not necessarily inflation on your home since 2004. And in that same time, over the past 5 years, and this is 2018, September 30, 2018. Those are the most recent audited numbers that I have. So the fund balance has gone down to 1/5 of what it was 5 years prior. Well, we know what caused that. It was the cash acquisition of technology. It was cash paid for voting machines, and it was the debacle in the ME office. I don't know what the numbers are for September 30th, 2019. I expect those will be delivered to the commissioners probably in the next week or month, sometime in there. Then everything that I've analyzed thus far, I need to start over, see if they've improved. Hopefully they haven't reversed any further because they have a working cash problem to fund payroll during the short months.
How can people find out more about your campaign and get in touch with you? And we had a texter who wanted to know if you had bumper stickers available that they could put on the back of their car.
I'd suggest get your lipstick out and write it on the window, but I don't have any bumper stickers. But they can contact me at Leanne for Lubbock. That's my Facebook page, and I try to respond as quickly as I can.
All right. Thanks for stopping by again.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. That's Ann Dumbauld, candidate in the Republican primary for Lubbock County Commissioner in Precinct 1.